Hello and welcome to the webinar. My name is Una and today I'm so excited that you're here because I am going to show you exactly what it takes to get lean, stay healthy, and totally kick ass in your 40s. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to consolidate and simplify all the latest research on hormones, on metabolism, on training and nutrition. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about my personal experience in overseeing the transformation of literally hundreds of 40-something bodies. And the whole point is so that you can cut to the chase and get this done in a way that is so much more efficient. So I hope that sounds good. I wanted to turn the camera on and say hi so you know that you're actually listening to a real person, but I'm going to shut it off for the rest of the presentation and then I'll come back during the Q&A. If I shut it off, the transmission will be better. So I'll see you at the Q&A. So here's what we're going to get into today. First of all, you are going to get total clarity on why it's really common for women to get a little mushy, a little muffin toppy in their 40s, but you don't have to. Next, we're going to talk about the exercises that every woman after 40 needs to be doing and what is the total waste of your time and maybe even harmful. Then we're going to talk about the dietary changes that women must make after 40 for optimal health. Before we get into all that, I want to tell you a quick story. So this is a picture of me in my first year of university. So maybe some of you can relate to this era. As you can see, I made my own cool raver clothes. That's a full fur, tank top that you're looking at there. And you can see my Pulp Fiction poster in the background. And so this is me in my first year of university. And I remember going to my very first class that had a ton of people, like 200 people. It was Psych 101. And the prof looked at all of us students and said, "Oh, I already know who's going to do well in this class." And he went on to tell us that studies show that students who sit in the front row and center are almost always the ones that get the best marks. And it makes sense, right? They're not sitting at the back where they can, play on their phones or have a snack. They're not sitting on the aisle where they can duck out. They are committed. So I'm inviting you to be that front row center student. And what that looks like is turning off your phone, closing the other browsers, really giving this your undivided, committed focus. And the reason is because I'm dead serious when I say the stuff we're going to cover on this webinar can literally change the course of your health and fitness from here on out. Oh, and just so you know, at the end of the webinar, there will be a reward for sticking around. And you have to be watching live to get this. So stick around. I promise it's going to be worth your time. Okay, so now I want to know who's on the call. So can you type your age in the chat? And just let me know. Have you noticed anything different about your body since you turned 40? So I'm guessing for a lot of you, you might be noticing that it's a little harder to lose weight, maybe especially around the belly region. Maybe you're finding it harder to kind of find the energy in the morning. Maybe you're not recovering as easily from your workouts. This is all normal. And I'm not bringing that up to bum you out. In fact, the stuff that I'm going to teach you on this webinar can help counteract and even reverse a lot of those effects. So here's the one thing I want to know. Who's had this moment in the last couple of years? We all know that fitness will decline naturally as we age. However, it is in the mid-40s when the body is going through a series of key changes that natural decline is actually the most marked. So here's what's happening. First of all, you probably guessed this, our hormones are getting a bit funky. So this is the main reason why women will start to gain weight after the age of 40. It's called the perimenopause stage, which is defined as the 10 years leading up to menopause. So this is when the ovaries start to reduce their production of estrogen. So this is important because estrogen is directly involved in having a healthy metabolism. Now, I want to be clear, people are always throwing around that word metabolism, but it's basically your body's ability to take food and convert it to energy instead of storing it as fat. So does it make sense that not only are you finding it harder to shift weight, but maybe also feeling a little bit less energy? Here's the other thing you need to know. Estrogen will direct your fat to the subcutaneous areas. So that's just under the skin. So think of where women will often gain weight. We gain it in our thighs and the bum and our breasts, maybe around the bra line kind of area. When estrogen drops, the fat gets redistributed to visceral fat, or in this picture you can see it's called intra-abdominal fat. So that's where men tend to gain weight. Picture it, a guy with a beer belly, it's not the kind of fat you can pinch because it's around the internal organs. So does this make sense to you that as your estrogen drops, it's going to be harder to lose weight and fat is going to start to build up in the belly region. If this is making sense to you, type yes in the chat box. And by the way, the reason I'm making you do that is because the more engaged you are, the more you're actually going to absorb this information. There is something else going on as we get into our 40s. It's called muscle sarcopenia, which is referring to the natural phenomenon of losing muscle mass as you age. So unless you are actively building muscle, you will naturally lose 3 to 5% of your muscle mass per decade. And I know that doesn't sound like a lot, right? But it slows down your metabolism and it makes you look really different. Now, a lot of women I know will say, well, I weigh about the same as I always have, but their body has changed a lot. And that's because of muscle sarcopenia. Women will lose muscle mass about twice as fast as men of the same age group. So it makes a huge difference in women's ability to lose body fat. And here's the other thing, dudes, like the final factor that could be contributing to a decrease in fitness as we get older is just the typical lifestyle of a woman in her 40s. Statistically, women in their 40s are more likely to eat out, they tend to drive more, and they're generally just too busy to look after themselves. And you know what? The stats are even worse for women who have a family. So what I'm talking about here is the stress factor. Women in their 40s are often taking care of kids, they're often at the peak of their career, and they're possibly looking after their own parents. When you're stressed, your adrenal glands will produce cortisol to combat the stress. And unfortunately, cortisol prevents weight loss and again, specifically stores it in the belly. Now again, the reason I'm telling you guys all this stuff is to confirm your suspicions that yes, there are definitely some factors that are making it harder for you to stay lean and healthy in your 40s. You are not imagining this, and it is not your fault if you're struggling. But I want you to know that if you are on this webinar, like you are not the kind of person who's just going to throw in the towel, and you do not have to. It is totally and absolutely possible to be in incredible shape at 40 and beyond. Like, would anybody here be okay with having Sheryl Crow's body at age 56? How about J-Lo's body right now? And you might be thinking, okay, well, come on, like these people have always been otherworldly specimens of humanity. I cannot relate to these celebrities at all. Which is why I'm going to show you some of my real clients and the transformations that they went through in their 40s. It is completely possible, and I'm about to tell you the exact steps. The problem is that most women in their 40s are just doing the wrong stuff. So here's my goal for this presentation. 1, I want to prove to you that getting in the best shape of your life in your 40s is totally possible. And 2, that if you want different results, you have to do something different. So let me tell you a little bit about me if you've never met me before. So my name is Una, that's how you pronounce my name, and I'm the founder of the Feel Good movement. So what I mean by that is that I want to remind people that the ultimate outcome that you're looking for is feeling good. And the method by which you are going to get there is also feeling good. I'm a best-selling author of a book called Healthy as Beep, if you've got children around, and a TEDx speaker. I've won a bunch of industry awards, including Fitness Professional of the Year, two years in a row. Fitness Idol was really fun. I do a lot of, media work. I write for magazines and I do TV shows a lot. But most importantly, with my online program, I get the opportunity to work with hundreds of people all over the world. And most of them are aged 35 to 55. And it's made me an expert on the very specific fitness and nutrition needs of this demographic. And here's the other thing. What you're not going to see in my bio is that the reason that I really know that it's possible to be in the best shape of your life in your 40s is because I did it. So I'm not going to tell you a sob story because I've never been obese and faced the kind of really true discrimination that obese people face. But I spent almost my whole life never being happy with the shape that I was in. I never liked the way clothes looked on me. I was physically uncomfortable every time I sat down because my pants would dig into my belly. I avoided pictures because I never liked the way I looked in them. I would always see a picture and think, oh my God, that's a horrible picture of me. I knew I wasn't eating the best, but I didn't think it was that bad. And anyway, I was way too tired to cook some big fussy meal at the end of my workday. I just wanted something simple. Can anyone relate to this? I was wiped at the end of my workday, and there was just no chance of me going to the gym. There was nothing more foreign I could think of at the end of my workday than going to a gym. If that's you, can you give me a hell yeah in the comments? So for me, it seemed like things were spiraling. I was steadily gaining weight and I didn't really see any way out of the shape that I was in. So I would do these kind of things every now and then. My discomfort with the situation would get enough that I would do something like send away for some green algae stuff in the mail that was supposed to help. Once I bought a gym membership that was really expensive, way out of my budget, because I thought that I would go if I, really stretched myself financially. And it didn't work. I spent about $100 a visit. And I walked in and I saw these beautiful people and I tried to get a machine to work and I felt so embarrassed and I walked out. Can any of you relate to this? Because for me, I was actually trying really hard to get into shape. It wasn't that I wasn't trying. It's just that I was doing all of the wrong stuff, which is what most people are doing. So here's a picture of me taking pretty recently. I'm 43 right now. And here's my hand on my heart truth, guys. I work so much less at being fit today than I did in that picture with the wine. I just have different habits. And they're the habits that I'm going to teach you on this webinar. And I just want you to imagine what it feels like to make this transformation. Imagine waking up and you feel better than you did at 20. You feel rested and amazing. Then you easily slip into clothes that you absolutely love. You love what you see in the mirror. You spend your day feeling like super confident, energized, no cravings. You eat healthy, but you do it intuitively. You never have that feeling of being starving and then stuffed. You notice your belly is like shrinking, it's gone. But the point is you just feel so good. And when you feel good in your skin, you are better at your job. You are a better parent. You are a better spouse. Now, I think you guys know this is not just about getting rid of the belly fat, right? This is about feeling good and the ripple effect it has on your life when you feel good. And this is totally possible for anyone. Take Rebecca. Rebecca was sitting in her house listening to my webinar 2 years ago from today. She was in her late 40s at the time, and here she is a year after listening to this webinar. She's holding 65 pounds of rice to represent the amount of excess weight she has lost since. Okay, so let's get into what Rebecca learned. Let's start with the exercises that most women are doing after 40 that are freaking useless and possibly even harmful, and what you have to do instead. So first I gotta take you back to that muscle sarcopenia. So the way we normally think about muscles is if you don't use it, you lose it. But after the age of 40, it's a bit more serious than that. It's you are losing it, but if you train, you can maintain it. Otherwise, this is what happens. So if you look at that image there on the left, you see how the bottom one is kind of more marbled? When you look at meat at the grocery store, it's got that marbling, and that's when there's a lot of fat within the muscle. And you can see in the sarcopenia example, there's a lot more of the fat within the muscle. And in the top example, there's a lot more actual muscle tissue. There's a lot more of the muscle. The muscle's bigger. So I want to be really clear. Muscle doesn't turn into fat as you get older. These are totally different body tissues. One can't turn into the other. The reason that the muscle is replaced by fat in the sarcopenia example is that the metabolism slows down when the muscle shrinks. In fact, because of muscle loss that happens when you age, your resting metabolic rate will decrease on average of about 100 calories a day. So I know that doesn't sound like much. It's only 100 calories, right? But dude, it adds up. That would add up to 3,000 calories a month, which, if you do nothing different, would equal a pound of fat a month. Do you see how this can creep up on you? So this is why a large study from the Harvard School of Public Health, they followed over 10,000 people over the age of 40 for 12 years. And they found that of all the activities they did, guess which activity had the greatest effect of preventing age-related abdominal fat? I want you to type your guess in the chat there. It was strength training, 20 minutes, 3 times a week. Who's surprised by that? Not only that, strength training can also help control blood sugar levels, which we'll be talking about when we get to the insulin part of the presentation, and it can help with bone loss. So now that I hope I've sold you on strength training, let me talk about a few myths about strength training. It will not make you big. Okay, there are certain strength training protocols that focus on increasing your bulk of your muscles, but the one that I teach in my program for 40 somethings is specifically designed to create lean muscle, which, as you've seen, maintains basic health and promotes a lean body composition. Okay, the second thing about strength training is drives me crazy. You cannot spot reduce. Now, I mean no disrespect to whatever trainer created this graphic, and I get why they did it. This stuff here sells, but there are no exercises that could target a pooch. Crunches cannot flatten your belly. Tricep kickbacks will not decrease the fat under your arms. Creating a caloric deficit through a well-functioning metabolism because you've maintained your muscle mass will decrease fat overall. And as for belly fat, this is going to be so much about your nutrition, which I'm going to talk about in a few minutes. Okay, third myth. The myth is that you can do a full body strength training program at home with no equipment. This is a really popular promise, but in order to train both the front and the back of the body, you need at least a resistance band. It's like this tiny piece of equipment that makes all the difference. Otherwise, mostly you're going to be training only the front of the body. And in your upper body, this is what it looks like. You'll have a slumpy posture and a sore upper neck in your neck. In your lower body, you might find that you get really sore knees after you work out. And maybe you only feel your lower body work in your quads and you don't really feel much going on in your glutes. Or maybe your lower back gets achy. This is probably because you haven't been doing enough movements for the posterior kinetic chain. All right, I hope you're finding this useful. So at this point, someone is usually going to ask me, what about cardio? Now, there are awesome benefits to doing cardio to stay lean and healthy in your 40s, but there are some really strong do's and don'ts, which might surprise you. So, can I get your promise that you will hear me out? Remember, if you want different results, you have to do something different. Okay. The kind of cardio that you want to do in your 40s is short, intense bursts, also known as HIIT training. Now, hear me out. According to the Mayo Clinic, the kind of physical activity that most people are choosing to do in their 40s is nowhere near as intense as it's supposed to be. And this is why. Remember how the muscles shrink as we get older, which causes the metabolism to drop and burn about 100 fewer calories a day? HIIT training revs up the metabolism and burns extra calories for up to 36 hours after your workout. HIIT also boosts your body's natural production of human growth hormone, which prevents sarcopenia in the first place, that muscle loss as you age. So your production of human growth hormone can increase by as much as 771% during a HIIT workout. The higher your levels of human growth hormone, the healthier, stronger, and more youthful you will be. So now, I want you to be totally honest with me. Who thought this when I said you should do high intensity interval training? Has anyone here had an experience where they went to a gym or something and some trainer who had heard about HIIT made you go way too hard, way too fast? Yeah, because here's what a lot of trainers don't understand about HIIT. And I know this because I used to certify and teach new trainers. I love trainers, but this is what they don't understand. The intensity is relative to you. So yeah, I want you to work at an 8 out of 10, but that is your 8. That's not my 8. Your 8 could be a fast walk. You can absolutely start doing HIIT training with lower impact activities. So this here is a screenshot from one of the videos for my 28-day transformation, which I shot in my living room to show that you can get a killer fit in a small space using nothing but a band. And as you can see, I am going for it because it's the peak of the interval. My friend's peak looks totally different than mine. We're both getting the metabolic training effects of HIIT, but we're both working at our 8 out of 10. Does that make sense to you? Awesome. Okay, another question I get a lot about training in your 40s is what about running? So here I am talking about going hard. Are your 40s a good time to train for a marathon? Well, actually, it would be way smarter to reduce the volume of stress on your joints and instead go for heart rate intensity. There's really little benefit and possibly some harm to doing cardio for more than 45 minutes at a time. And listen, if you exercise effectively, your workouts could be way shorter than that. So instead of your 45-minute run, if you gave me 25 minutes of strength and HIIT training in your living room, it'll be way easier on your joints and you'll see results more quickly. Remember that Harvard study where they said that 20 minutes of strength training 3 times a week was the #1 way to get rid of age-related belly fat? The good news is that they saw results in those test cases as early as 2 weeks into the experiment. I'm telling you, dude, this stuff works and it works quickly. So just to show you a demonstration of this approach, this is Holly. And she was 43, I think, on the left and 44 on the right. And at 43, Holly was really active. What she liked to do was go for long, brisk walks every day. Long, like she'd go for like 2 hours of brisk walking. And oh my God, please don't get me wrong. Long, brisk walks are amazing for you. Holly was healthier than probably 80% of people her age by doing that. But she was spending a lot of time doing it. And she felt like she wasn't really getting the results she wanted. She didn't feel like her body reflected all the time she was spending moving. So she started my program and she saw immediate results by spending way less time working out. But what's even awesomer is that this picture is taken after a year after Holly started my program, which means that she, like most of my transformers, are in the less than 1% of people who lose weight and keep it off. Okay, so let's get into nutrition. Okay, so about the food, I should say most women in their 40s eat pretty healthy, like especially the kind that show up to this kind of webinar. I'm not going to insult your intelligence by assuming that you eat a lot of processed, sugary crap, okay? So we're just going to skip that lesson. So let me tell you what I've learned though, in 18, or actually it's probably like 20, 21 years of working with really well-educated women in specifically this age demographic. They will just overserve themselves. They all say, I eat really healthy, but they will just overserve themselves. And, you know, they eat beautiful, healthy food. I eat with people, like the people that I work with will often describe themselves as foodies, but they just eat a little bit too much of it. So let me give you some unconscious reasons why women will do that. One, they just automatically start serving themselves the same portions that they always have. You got to remember, as we get older, our metabolism is naturally slowing down. We just don't need as much food as we used to. A lot of people just don't adjust their serving sizes as they get older, and just naturally by eating the same portions as we always have, we start slowly but surely starting to pack on the weight. Second reason is that they are still hungry, because they aren't working with an adjusted nutrient distribution that is appropriate for someone in their 40s. Do you want to know what that is? Okay, this is what I'm talking about. You want a quarter of your plate to be high quality protein, and that's going to help build the muscle and counteract the effects of muscle sarcopenia. And that can absolutely be plant-based protein. That protein should be adjusted for the size of your body and the activity level that you have. Next, you want to fill half of your plate with beautiful cancer-fighting vegetables. That is going to be the bulk of every single meal. Then you want to make sure that you're getting enough anti-inflammatory omega-3 fatty acids. You're going to get that in stuff like avocado, walnuts, high quality oils. And here's the really important part. Because of insulin sensitivity going down with your estrogen dropping, you want to shift to low glycemic carbohydrates. Okay, so I know that plate, if you are a foodie, might have looked kind of boring. So let me show you what that nutrient distribution can look like with my recipes. This new way of eating that I'm teaching you right now can be unbelievably delicious. And here's the important part. It is so nutrient dense that you don't feel like you want more food than you need. You don't have those cravings a few hours later because your blood sugar will be totally regulated. Here's the other thing. You might want to start thinking about other foods that can maybe go now that you're in your 40s. Remember, we need fewer calories now. And so you just want to be mindful. If you're consuming something and it's not adding value to your health or your quality of life, maybe now's the time to rethink it. So here I've got, for example, sugar, alcohol. Okay, let's talk about alcohol for a second. Put a note in the chat and let me know, have you noticed that your body doesn't quite tolerate alcohol the way it used to? Yeah, the fact is that our bodies are just more sensitive now. which is why so many people discover new food sensitivities during their 40s. So for example, do you ever get bloaty, a little bit gassy after a meal? Or maybe you wake up, you feel all lean, you got that morning skinny, and then by the end of the day, you feel kind of like you got the 4 months pregnant belly. So this could be a food sensitivity that you aren't aware of. Stuff that used to be fine, like wheat or dairy or whatever, might just not sit as well with you. So it's not a bad idea to do an elimination cleanse just to check and make sure that what you're putting in your body is working for you at this stage of your life. So this is an example of what can happen when you go through this process and make these adjustments in your 40s. So this is Susan. And Susan, even on the left there, she was a freaking badass. She was so active. She was doing all the HIIT and the strength training. But look what happened to her body composition after we applied the nutrition strategy that I just told you. And this happened in my 28-day program, by the way. This is 28 days. And these 28 days were during the holidays. And here's the best part. Like I said, it has been 3 years and Susan is still going strong because the approach that I use is lifestyle based. It's not a diet. So speaking of which, let's get into the real stuff here. Let's talk about real life, about actually doing this for real and having it last. So I don't know about you, but this is kind of what my household looks like. And if your house is anything, if your life is anything like mine, you might be hearing all these recommendations about HIIT and building muscle and getting omega-3s and looking for sensitivities and thinking, oh my gosh, this just sounds like a lot of work that I don't have time for. And that, my friend, is one of the biggest factors of weight gain in their 40s. It's our lifestyle. If you ask almost any woman in her 40s why she's not in the shape that she wants to be in, what is she going to say? Yeah, she's going to say, I don't have the time. So let me be totally honest with you guys. If any of this stuff is going to stick, and remember, that is my specialty, lifestyle changes that last, it has to be easy. Can I get a hell yes in the comment box? I'm a busy working mom, like I'm guessing so many of you are, and I know that this is not going to happen if it's going to be a lot of work, which is exactly why I created my program, to take the work out of it. But before I get into that, can I share with you the real secret to making all of this stuff actually quit proof? It's accountability and social support. Statistically, that is one of the biggest factors of maintaining a healthy lifestyle. So I'm not talking about starting something and having it sort of peter off after a week or two. We need accountability and social support to make this stick, because guess what? We're not afraid to let ourselves down, but we are afraid to let other people down. You know that is true. Think about it. How many times have you promised yourself like a quiet night in, and then you just forget it as soon as somebody asks you to do something that's not as important as your self-care? How many times have you been like focusing on a project and then someone texts you and you get right back to them because you don't want to keep them waiting? Even the other day, my friend, she was telling me a story about being in a business meeting that offered lunch, and it wasn't anything she really wanted to eat. She had been eating healthy and feeling so good, but she caved when other people asked her about it because she didn't want to make them feel uncomfortable. The truth is, we become like the 5 people that we spend the most time with. So it's really important to choose carefully. And studies show that participating in a group exercise or healthy eating program means you are 600% more likely to achieve your goals. In a year-long study published by the Journal of the American Medical Association, participants of an online group weight loss program lost more than twice the weight of participants who took part in a traditional solo program. So here's the weird part, because I know that some of you are thinking, yeah, those are just statistics, but not for me. Dude, this effect holds for introverts as well. I know, I was surprised when I read that. Even if you are someone who thinks like, yeah, but I kind of would rather try it on my own first. Dude, I get that. I am not usually a joiner. I get that. This is who I wanted to be in high school, but I was not cool enough to pull it off. Let me ask you something else. How is it working for you? If you want different results, you have to do something different. So now I want you to think about this, really think about this. Who in your life do you have who is going to celebrate with you rather than make you feel all weird about trying to change? Who do you know who is in the best shape of their life in their 40s and won't feel threatened by you getting there? This is important. So here, I want to check in with you. I want to make sure I'm hitting my goals with this presentation. Number one, do you believe me that it's not your fault if you're having trouble getting in shape in your 40s? Have I shown you proof that you can counteract those effects through effective exercise and nutrition and make it quit proof when you have social support? And do you see that if you want different results, you might have to do things a little bit differently than you're doing them now? So I hope you're feeling excited, but tell me honestly, is anyone feeling a little bit overwhelmed at how to synthesize this information and actually start implementing it in your life? So that's why I created my 28-day transformation. Remember how I said if these changes are going to stick, it has to be easy? This is an online fitness and nutrition program that implements everything we've talked about here, and I guarantee visible, measurable results in 28 days. And this is what it looks like when it's easy. So Raylene joined my program, not for weight loss. She didn't care about weight loss, but she had no energy. And she was really having trouble keeping up with her really active 8-year-old daughter. And she had a lot of guilt around it. You know, she never really wanted to play. She just wanted to watch TV or whatever. And Bridget was way overworked and exhausted. Sorry, I said Bridget, Raylene. Raylene was overworked and exhausted. And her priority was, this is what she said to me, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. Which is why the program worked for her when nothing else had before. It simplifies everything and it gives you exactly the blueprint you need to get success fast. Because when you get success fast, that helps you build momentum and stay motivated. Okay, so remember Holly? Remember she was the one that changed from walking to strength training workouts? So you can't tell because she's smiling, but Holly had a really tragic loss that year. And she spent a lot of her times in hospitals and traveling across the country to support her family. Now, normally, if you're on a diet and some crisis comes up, that diet is over. But if you have the kind of automatic healthy habits that I teach you in my program, they sustain you when everything else is hard. Because a lot of times people will do something for a little while and they can't sustain it because life gets in the way. But when you have habits, when they become part of your identity, then they sustain you when life gets in the way. And here's another one. This is Tammy. So she had just hit 40 when she started my program, but she actually kind of looked a lot older. Like you see that bathing suit on the left there? That's not something geared at women who are just outside their 30s. And notice how it's not the best picture. It's the only one that Tammy had of herself in a bathing suit because she avoided pictures in a bathing suit. I mean, who can relate to that? And now she says she can't wait for her Victoria's Swim delivery to come. And let me tell you something else. Tammy had twins in her early 40s. So that body you're looking at there is a woman who had twins in her 40s. Oh, and this is so cute. This is Emily. She's from Ireland. And she was so excited to show me what happened during her transformation that she made this graphic. And she told me this great story. She went down to the pub at the end of her first month of the program, and this guy hit on her. And she was kind of chuffed about it because it had been a while since some random guy hit on her. And they were talking, and someone mentioned the 90s. And the guy said, oh, but you probably weren't even born in the 90s. And she said, oh no, my son was born in the 90s. And his jaw hit the floor. She said it was the best moment. Oh, and this picture isn't the best quality, but I love it because let me ask you something. How much weight do you think Catherine lost? This is over the course of a year. See, Catherine's from Denmark, you can tell by her phone there. What do you think? Like in the former picture, she's got sort of a normal mum kind of belly. And in the after, she's got defined abdominals. So what do you think? What do you think is her weight loss there? So most people guess something like, 15, maybe 20 pounds. She lost 2.5 pounds. That's it. So remember how I said that with muscle sarcopenia, you might stay the same weight, but actually look really different? This is a great example of that. And that's also why we don't just go by the scale in my program. Now, if you're thinking, okay, well, this won't work for me because I'm way older and way less fit than those women, this is Diane. So Diane described herself as a 52-year-old obese, non-exerciser with degenerative discs and diabetes. Never mind that she lives in Gander, Newfoundland, and getting fresh vegetables at any time of the year was really hard. And even if she could get them, her husband really didn't want to eat them. So most people in Diane's situation would probably say, okay, fitness is just not going to be my thing. But Diane had an event coming up where she was going to meet the Canadian Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau. And here's that moment. So I don't know if you can tell, you can't really tell from the picture, but she had lost a lot of belly between those two pictures. And Diana's so funny. She sent me this picture and she said, Sophie won't be laughing the next time I get my hands on JT. And, you know, sometimes when we think about our motivation to lose weight or take on some big healthy change, you know, we think about those moments of like running into the X or doing our red carpet thing. But sometimes it's just the smaller moments, like this one here. And this woman wrote, holy big day, I'm an intermediate. And never in my life did I think my fitness would be anything but couch potato. And I just did a real on my toes plank for 25 freaking seconds. Might not be a big deal to some, but I couldn't do one at all 3 short weeks ago. It's those little moments of triumph, and that is going to change your day. It's going to change how you feel about yourself. And now I'm going to tell you that the next 28-day transformation starts next Monday, which might prompt you to think, this looks good, but I can't get started with this now. This is not the right time. Here's why that is a mistake that is going to hold you back from ever getting the results that you deserve. There's never going to be a good time. There is never going to be a time when you have no responsibilities. There will always be infringements on your self-care unless you create the space. If you want different results, you have to do something different. So here's what you're going to get. I'm going to give you an entire year, I'm going to give you an entire year and month of dietitian approved meal plan that specifically addresses high protein to combat sarcopenia, maximum nutrients and vitamins to support all the body's anti-aging and disease-fighting systems with smart carbohydrates. So you get the energy that you need and you can maximize your insulin function as your estrogen decreases. This is the plan that I use to get in the best shape of my life in my 40s, and I have proven it now with over probably 1,400 people. You actually get 3 menus. You get an omnivore, vegetarian, and a vegan version. And so wherever you are on that spectrum, you are absolutely taken care of. And I'm also going to give you my signature home training program. So if you have a gym membership, you can pause it for the month because you won't need it. And you're going to get way better results in 28 minutes in your living room with my progressive strength and HIIT training program. And when I say progressive, I mean we actually start gentle with yin yoga. And by the end, you're going to be doing CrossFit in your living room. That is the journey that I'm going to take you on. You can do it anywhere on your own schedule. And if you need any alternative exercises, you have access to me, a world-class top trainer, to tell you what to do to modify it for you. I'm going to tell you more about that in a second. So I just want to tell you about this bonus. When you get in your 40s, sometimes your knees and your wrists will get a little grumpy. So I have a bonus video with modifications so you can get the exact same benefits without hurting your joints. And mamas, if you think you can't use this, I got you covered. I'm a mom and I'm a pre and postnatal fitness specialist. So I have a bonus module just for you on diastasis recti and a mom-friendly core training routine. This is so fun. This is an extra bonus that I just added. If you invest in this program today, you are also going to get access to my Flat Belly Strong Core program, which is going to help you if you specifically want to target your midsection. So now, don't get me wrong. Remember what I said. Spot reducing isn't possible. And the best way to lose your belly is to lose fat overall, which is what's going to happen during the 28-day transformation. What the Flat Belly Strong Core program does is address the specific nutritional programs that create bloating, that 4 months pregnant look, as well as the specific core training that will not only tone the midsection and reduce your waist circumference, but it's going to give you functional strength and reduce the risk of back injury. This is totally included in the transformation. So I had to go through years of trying different diets and trying Pilates and putting Pilates on top of my regular workouts and working out really hard, and my arms and my legs would get ripped, but my belly never seemed to change. So I don't want you to go through that. And that's why I created the Flat Belly Strong Core program. So I know that's a lot. And actually there's a lot included that I haven't even told you about. You get incredible meal plans, 4 weeks. You get my signature home training program. That's 12 videos that you just press play and go. You get time-saving systems. I'm going to give you a checklist to do every day, grocery lists, family-friendly meal sampler. So if you've got kids, you're worried that they're not going to eat it, I've got you covered. Snacking Solutions ebook. So if you are someone who tends to get a little snacky in the evenings, I've got you covered for that. I've got a dining out meal plans or guide. So if you were dining out, no worries. You always know exactly what to do. Bonus training for sore knees, wrists, mom-friendly core training, all of that covered. And really, it's a very modest valuation. I'm saying that's probably worth about $1,200 bucks. But I haven't even told you about the most valuable part of this program. This is the thing that sets it apart from anything else you've tried before. It's the support that I give you. You're going to have access, 24/7 access to a multi-award winning personal trainer, nutrition coach, and success mentor. So these are transform mentors, that's what I call them, who have been there, done that, done the program. Because I would find in my past attempts at getting healthy, I would buy something and I would kind of try it and I'd run into a roadblock or I wouldn't really understand it and there was no one to turn to. So this is giving you access to all of that. So again, this is the most valuable part of the program is the fact that you get 24 access to top experts. And I value that at really modestly at about $1,500 for a month. And that's why this program is different than anything you've probably purchased before. This is not just a PDF with a whole bunch of stuff to do. It's a well-proven system that specifically addresses the body changes during this period of life for immediate results that last. And you have live, expert, personalized support whenever you need it. And that's why we have 5-star rating on Google and Facebook. And when we've surveyed our transformers, 97% of past participants have said this program changed my life. So here's what I want to ask you. What if this system, all it did was just save you the time and effort of figuring out how to do this on your own? Would this be worth it? What if it only gave you lifetime access to a done-for-you nutrition program that you could use to drop excess weight whenever you needed to? Would that be worth it? What if all this did was prevent you from ever having to invest time and money and energy in starting some whole new healthy living project / gym membership and then quitting and then having to start again? What if you had such solid healthy habits that you never had that feeling of I failed? Would that be worth it? So when I developed this system, I had two choices. I could go as cheap as possible and I could just try and sell it to as many people as possible. And if they succeed on their own, that's great. That's how most gyms and apps and online platforms and PDF fitness products work. You've probably tried a bunch of them. But the problem is, I know as someone who consumed all of those products with so much hope in my heart, it doesn't work. Do you agree with me? So I decided to go with a second option, which obviously requires a slightly higher investment on your part. But in exchange for that, my team and I can dedicate all of our time, our energy, and our resources to help guarantee your success. So think of what it's actually worth to feel healthy. What would you pay to feel 10 years younger? What would you pay to be so proud of the way your body looks? To have all the energy that you want to do the things that are important to you? A lot of people would say that investing in your health is the best investment you can make, and I agree with that. But I also think that this kind of transformation should be accessible to anyone, which is why I only charge $297 for the transformation, usually. And all of the 5-star reviews are from people who happily paid $297 and they said this program changed my life. But because you are the ones who took the time to show up live, and I want to reward you for that, I'm going to knock another $100 off of that. And you can get that right now at fitfeelsgood.com/40. So let me put that price into perspective for you. If you were to hire me to give you a program and be on call to answer your questions for a month, and then you also hired a nutritionist to do the same thing, you'd be looking at spending like at least $2,000. And if it works, I think that's totally worth it. But you don't have to. The reason that I wanted to go online was to be able to offer way more people help in a much more efficient way. So you can have access to all the tools that I perfected for people in their 40s, plus personalized attention for a fraction of the price. And again, you can get that at fitfeelsgood.com/40. And here's another bonus that I'm going to add. Because you were the ones that took the time to show up live, when you register in the next 15 minutes, this is a fast action bonus because I want to reward you for taking action quickly. Don't wait. I'm going to send you a copy of my best-selling book, Healthy as Beep, in the mail, just for showing up live. Now, I want to be clear, this book isn't a substitute for the transformation. There are no recipes in it, there's no workouts, but it's an essential companion when it comes to the mindset shifts that you're going to be making in the next month. So at this point, you have two choices. Choice number one is do nothing with the information you've just learned in the last hour and, try and make some changes happen on your own one more time. Or you can take a leap of faith and let me help you. Just test out my system that has worked for over 1,000 people in their 40s and got 99% 5-star reviews and see if it will work for you. Like Nadia did. You can see she was tracking her weight and making efforts going up and down, and you can see the moment she decided she needed help. She was sick of doing it on her own. And Jen had a similar experience, which is why I say just take the leap of faith and try it. If it doesn't work, you have lost nothing, because if you try it for a week and you don't believe this will be the game changer for you, you email me and I will happily refund your money. And the caveat here is that you do have to try it. You can't buy the program and then do nothing and ask for your money back. You have to be willing to reset your habits. So the real question is it worth spending a week of your life trying my system just to see if it'll change your life? Even if it does only half of what I've talked about on this webinar, I think that is a week pretty well spent. Now, I just wanted to come back on and say, hi, how's it going? And I want to be able to answer any questions that you might have about the transformation. So I'll start by some of the standard questions that people usually ask about this. So first of all, people want to know if it's going to be okay with their allergies, with their any religious food restrictions you have. And the answer is yes. As I mentioned, we give you already, so you kind of get 3 meal plans in one. You get an omnivore, a vegetarian, and a vegan version. So wherever you are on that spectrum, we've got you totally covered, and you're still going to get all of the appropriate nutrient distribution that you need. Now, say you've chosen the, vegetarian or something like that, and you go through it and you're like, oh, there's this food in here that I don't eat or that my kids won't eat or whatever. What can I substitute it with? No problem. Then you're going to go into the Facebook group, you tag your nutrition ninja, and she's going to get right back to you and say, oh, in this recipe, that particular food ingredient serves this purpose, so you can replace it with this, or this. So it's really very personalized to you. We've got your back. We're not going to let you sort of put you in a position where you have to make stuff up. We've got you covered. Okay. Also, people often ask, I'm looking at my notes, that's why I'm looking up there. People often say like, okay, sounds good, but how much time is it going to take? Because people are really worried. I get it, dude. Like, people are so busy. And I understand that if this is not going to fit into your lifestyle, it's not going to work. So I got to tell you, saving Transformers time is my passion. I am always like, this has got to be easy. This has got to be something they can continue doing. So this is why I'm so proud when so many of my Transformers say, this program was like a break for my brain. Because, dude, who couldn't use a break for their brain? I don't know about you, but I find like just what my client Raylene said, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And so that's what we do. We give you a checklist and you just basically have to check like, yes, I did this, 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 this. All you got to do is check it off and watch the results happen on your body. And we really kind of have organized it for you. So, if you need a cooked sweet potato or something for lunch the next day, we'll say during the dinner recipe, hey, now's a great time to throw in your sweet potato. We tell you how to do the food prep for maximum efficiency. So really, we have done all the organizing, all the thinking, so you can just outsource that to us for the next month. Honestly, you will be so relieved. It's such a nice break for your brain. Okay. A lot of people want to know, are there any other fees? So any ongoing fees? So the answer is no. I know there are so many programs right now that are moving to more of a subscription-based model. But the awesome deal is, so if you book in the next 12 minutes, I'm looking at the clock here, 12 minutes, you're going to get my program, which is literally, and I'm not like blowing, the valuation out of whatever, a stratosphere. Really could be valued at about $2,500. Easy, considering the access that you're going to get to live experts during your transformation. So you're going to get that program for, which is normally $297 US, which is an awesome deal, but you're getting it for $197 US when you book in the next 11 minutes. And you're going to get my best-selling book delivered to your house. It is an incredible deal. So, and once you've got all that, you've got it for the next 28 days, and you've got all of the materials for life. So for example, you're going to have this nutrition system. And by the way, it is a system. It's not just a bunch of like healthy random recipes. It is a progressive system. We start with a cleanse off the top so that we gradually add in these various elements as you go, so you can see how different food elements affect your body now in your 40s. So it's this amazing system that you always have anytime you are like, I've kind of slipped off my habits over the holidays, I want to get back on. You start implementing the system again. And the workouts, like I mentioned, we start with yin yoga. And then we go through something called the simple circuit, which is really just familiarizing your body with the basic movement patterns. Then we start to add some self-guided intervals. Then we start to add some, intervals that I dictate for you. And you don't have to think about any of that. All you got to do is press play, follow me. 28 minutes later, you are done your workout, you're in the shower, and you've got that forever. So that's 12 different videos. You've got access to those for life. You never have to pay other than the $197 in the next 10 minutes in order to get all the awesome stuff for life, lifetime access. So there is no subscription model for this program. Okay. Will we be offering it later is another question. So yeah, I normally offer this program about once a year to people on my list, and it will be offered at $297. It's still a phenomenal deal at $297. You probably won't get the book bonus. And the other question that I'll say is, so if you buy now within the next 9 minutes, you're going to get the book for free. You're going to get $100 off, and you're going to get to start your awesome new life. So for me, that's what I would say is the main bonus here, is that you get to go now, take action now. Because if you're thinking, oh, I would love to do this, but I don't know if I can, dude, life is now. How many times have you promised yourself that you'll deal with this later? I'm guessing if you are like most women in their 40s, your self-care has been on the back burner. Your self-care is so far on the back burner that it's like fallen down behind the stove. Your self-care is like that gross stuff that you see when you move the stove to clean your house. That's not where your self-care belongs. This is you. This is your life, dude. You should take care of this now. It's not going to take care of itself. No one else is going to take care of it for you. If you're feeling something in you that's like, now could be the time, then start with us next Monday. Do that. And if it's not the time, if you're like, whoa, I can't, whatever, it's totally fine. You've got 7 days to try my program to see how it makes you feel. And if it's not right for you, then you get your money back. I so strongly, don't wait. Don't promise yourself this. Give yourself this now. You deserve it so much. Because what would happen, and I've had so many people who, when they do it, they say, I almost did this so many years ago and I didn't, and I wish that I had. Don't waste any more time in a body that doesn't feel amazing to you, because that is accessible to you. In 28 days, your life, your body, your energy, the way you feel about yourself could be totally different. And that starts now, next 8 minutes. You got 8 minutes to make that decision. You'll be so happy with yourself if you do. So I'm here for any other questions that you have. I'm trying to think of anything else that people normally ask. I really strongly, if you're worried about whatever your situation is, maybe go to my Facebook page, facebook.com/ffgcanfitpro, and you'll see all of the reviews, and you'll probably see someone who has got your same situation. And by the way, I have no control over those reviews. I couldn't change them if I wanted to. So everything you're seeing there is straight up legit. It is not edited or curated by me. But dude, if you're going to do that, come back here and book within the next 7 minutes, because you want that $100 off and you want this book. I'm telling you, the mindset shifts that happen when you read this book are unbelievable. And this is the kind of work that is going to make it completely different than every other time you tried some diet. Okay. And I'm so excited to work with you for the next month. I'm so excited to be on your side, to be your accountability partner. And I am so excited to see the transformation. Mwah. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in the group. Bye.